Joe Ashton, a retired United Auto Workers vice president who represents the union's Retiree Health Care Trust on General Motors Co.'s board of directors, resigned Wednesday from the automaker's board. Photo, John F. Martin for General Motors. Retired United Auto Workers Vice President Joe Ashton resigned from General Motors Co.'s board of directors Wednesday, weeks after being linked to a federal grand jury investigation into auto industry corruption. Ashton's abrupt departure came 6 weeks after the Detroit News reported that he had drawn the scrutiny of federal agents looking into potential corruption at UAW joint training centers funded by all three automakers. The investigation focuses on whether training funds were misappropriated, and if labor leaders at GM and Ford Motor Co. received money or benefits through their tax-exempt nonprofits. An allegation that emerged this summer involving Fiat Chrysler Automobiles NV and General Holyfield, a former UAW vice president who died in 2015, sources said. Ashton, who represents the union's Health Care Trust on GM's board, is resigning amid a separate internal investigation GM launched this fall after learning of the widening federal investigation. Sources told the News that GM's internal review is being conducted by Jones Day, the global law firm that represented Detroit during the city's landmark bankruptcy. Boards are very sensitive bodies, especially for public companies, David Cole, chairman emeritus of the Ann Arbor-based Center for Automotive Research, said in an interview. A couple of people, in the industry, have been impacted already, but you don't know how far that web is going to go. Any hint of impropriety is just not good at all. That would absolutely be a reason for someone to leave a board. Ashton is one of GM's 10 outside directors. After retiring as head of the UAW's GM department in 2014, he was nominated to represent the union's Retiree Medical Benefits Trust on GM's board. The trust's stake in GM, acquired as part of GM's bankruptcy, totals 9.3% of the automaker's outstanding shares, according to GM's latest proxy statement. It is unclear whether a replacement would be appointed to represent the union trust. The federal probe is the second criminal investigation involving GM in recent years. Under a so-called deferred prosecution agreement, the automaker remains under federal oversight following a scandal involving faulty ignition switches that have been linked to almost 400 deaths and injuries. Under the agreement, GM needs to cooperate with federal prosecutors and report any wrongdoing, an obligation that explains why the Detroit automaker is conducting an internal investigation that is expected to be shared with federal prosecutors. That puts a premium on identifying individuals in the company who can be exposed to prosecution. Maybe that's what's happening, said Peter Henning, a Wayne State University law professor and former federal prosecutor. Justice Department policy for prosecuting companies is if they want credit for cooperating, they have to give prosecutors the individuals involved. The combination of a grand jury investigation and GM's internal probe leaves anyone embroiled in the probes in a vice grip, Henning added.